Hello, LG, and welcome to episode 3 of the LGAHL Access. Along with me, I only have one man today. That is Garrus, my GM on the Condors. Garrus, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Just kind of feeling lonely right now, but other than that, I'm feeling pretty good.
Yeah, we don't get the lovely personality of Crosby, which would have been nice this week. He got traded to Ontario.
Oh, ugh. Oh man, it's gonna suck for us, or will it actually benefit us?
Benefit of us. He's easy.
Yeah.
He's easy to defend. Come on now. But yeah, Crosby going to Ontario. That's pretty good. Couple big blockbuster trades. I didn't even realize we're at the trade deadline. I mean, that's how quick the season.
I thought the trade deadline was next week. That's what I was told.
Oh,
No, they told me it was next week. Like all the other GMs have told me it was next week. But
Well-
I mean, even just realizing and making myself look stupid right now, I'm pretty confident with the roster that I have going to the end of the season.
Okay, I hope so, because I'm still there.
Yeah. But yeah, Dockstat got moved. Their deep local team traded Wiz and Westwood for. I mean, you got Hot Wing LOL. You got E-Rice's brother, I think. I believe Deadpool Virus is E-Rice's brother. I mean, that's.
I have no idea. I'd rather not know.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of trades. Crosby, as you mentioned, Cobra's going to Stockton. Yeah, I mean, K-Slice going to Lake Erie. That's a pretty good deal. Ted Habs moving, Wadden moving.
It's funny, with some of the trades you keep me in the loop in on, it's those guys. Some of those guys could have been Condors, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Nice.
But yeah, a lot of trades being moved around. The West is close too. You know, I find it funny at the beginning of the season, everyone said how good the East was, but before the season even started, I definitely felt like the West was a more tougher conference.
Yeah, honestly, we're only 3 points out of first, and we're in 8th place. So that's just kind of the competitiveness of the West right now.
Somebody's going to get screwed. That's inevitable. Someone decent team that should be in the playoffs is going to be missing out. So
yeah, we're just going to call out faces right now, saying sitting there at 7th with like 500 record. That's nice.
That's how you get it done. The 500 record gets you in.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to get the show on the road. We're not going to hold you guys up too long because it is only me and Garrus. We only have 2 segments today. We're going to do Lines of the Week and wrap the show up with the Power Rankings. Next up, as I just said, Lines of the Week. Stay tuned. Be right with you. Okay. Welcome back. We are here for the Lines of the Week. Crosby's not here, so I will take his place. I will be doing the East, as Garrus will be doing the West for our Lines of the Week. So without further ado, I will start it off for you folks here. At left wing, we have LGAHL 13 for the Toronto Marlies. Put in a very good week. He did have an overtime loss to Rockford, but put up quite a bit of points. Put up a total of 13 points out of his 25 all season. He had a plus 9, and very good week for him on Toronto. We're going to get to his counterpart here. I'm going to skip the center and go to his counterpart that was traded to Ontario. Interesting move by Toronto there. BL22L. He had a 2-0-1 week, just like his other line mate. A plus 8, had 13 points, which is out of his 30. So he's still having a pretty good season despite that. One interesting statistic here is he had 10 shots and only 1 was not a goal. 10 shots and yeah, I think I got that right.
Kobe.
Yep, 10 shots, 9 goals. That's crazy. That's ridiculous. So if he's putting the puck on net, it's going to be efficient. So nice job for B and NHLJL there on the Toronto Marlies line. No more, though, however, with the recent trade. At center from Lehigh Valley, we have L Slim X8L. Slim Shady here, putting up a 3-0 week. Wins over Bakersfield, Bridgeport, and Providence. Providence being one of the very good teams so far, one of the surprise teams. Slim had 8 goals with 20 shots, a plus 7, which is very good. Stayed out of the penalty box pretty often there, Slim, so that's very important there for the center position. So very nice week there for Slim, putting up some big points against some good teams. At right D from the Springfield Falcons, we've got Not You 197730. All those numbers. Not You was not available, so he went with all those numbers. He put in a 3-0 week, had only 1 point, but he was I'm sorry, he had 3 points. I apologize. But he was a +8. Played some decent teams, beat Hartford, who ranked pretty high in our power rankings that we will get to eventually. Big win over Lake Erie and beat Hershey 6-1. Only 2 penalty minutes for Not You this week, so good job staying out of the box. Very solid week there for the defenseman on Springfield. Up next, we've got another defenseman from Springfield. We've got Cougar L19L. Does this mean he's an older woman chasing younger guys? I don't know. We'll find out. But he did beat Providence 8-0, Lake Erie 4-3, and Hartford 5-2. It appears he played 2 of those games with Not You. He had 5 points, a +11, and 4 penalty minutes this week for Cougar. So defensive pairing there from the Springfield Falcons. And last up in net, we've got, as no surprise here, the only undefeated goalie, I believe, that played more than 2 games, that played the 3-game minimum, is ex-NHL Dangles 07X from Albany. Very, very solid week for him. 5-0, posted 1 shutout. Save percentage was pretty solid in the 80s. Had a very nice week. Dangles has been around for some time, Garris. No, I feel like I've seen his name in the past.
I think he was the goalie of Jeff and Maxwell's old Albany team way back when. That's
what I thought. How ironic is that? That's hilarious.
Yeah, Maxwell's a huge fan of him.
Oh, so he has a fan club too, huh?
He has a fan club, yeah. Maxwell's the president.
Yeah, so a very nice week there for Dangles. It's funny, a lot of the goalies came out of the East, I believe. A lot of the better goalies were in the East this week. Dangles, an 82 save percentage. He actually had 2 shutouts, correct what I said earlier, and a 1.79 GAA. After him, it really falls off for the West. So we're going to get to that, though. Garris is going to tell you who we've got hanging out in the West here. Who is it, Garris?
All right. Well, cut you off first. I think it's Kogar. Cougar spelled for you.
No. We're going with Cougar.
Cougar.
That's my first decision. We're sticking with it.
Cougar. We're going to call him Cougar. We're going to call this next player, the right wing for the West. It's Perplex. I'm going to call him Pacific or Specific. I don't know how to pronounce this. It's the effect. I don't know. But right wing for the Chicago Wolves. Let me bring this up. Wow. He did go 2-0 on the week, but he managed 15 points in 2 games. So GG Neji. Had 9 points in that game. And then had 10 goals in the week, 5 assists, plus 12. 66.7 shooting percentage. Pretty much a lights out week for him, and that was only 2 games played. Moving on, we're going to move to his line mate center, King Onage, 9-0 on the season. He was a part of both that Iowa and that Manitoba game, and he also beat a good team in Springfield, putting up 14 points on the week, 3 goals, 11 assists, 311. I confirmed. Moving on, the left wing, everyone knows him, made it 2 faces, made it 2 siblings, whatever you want to call him. He put up 13.6 goals, 7 assists. So is he finally using his right trigger? Plus 14, 46.2% shooting, and big 15 hits. Left defenseman for Chicago Wolves, we're at Draisaitl, 29, I think that's how you pronounce it. Playing with Perplex and Onage, 8 points the week, plus 13, 3 goals, 5 assists. He had a hat trick in that game against Neji's team. GG. And then finally moving on, we have the AGM of the Ontario Reign, Easy Macaroni, whatever you want to call him. Only put up 6 points the week, average 2 points, 3-0, all assists, plus 5, pretty much 4 hits. And then finally, goalie, keep it suit with Mac, Ontario, JF Flukin. Went 4-1 on the week, 85.5 save percentage, added 2 goals against. I mean, like Bryson said, goalies were hard to come back for the week, as Dangles was the only undefeated goalie who played more than 3 games. So, I mean, that's the West. Any comments?
Yeah, I got a comment. Made it two faces. I know everyone takes him for a troll, and I know he still will be considered a troll, but he's having himself quite a good season. Despite three very bad losses, he has put up some very good wins in that same in the same breath there, because he's beaten Manitoba 8-1 and Albany 7-0 this week. Two blowout wins, and not too shabby for him. I know Faces has done well in the past, but particularly this season, I really like the points he's putting up so far.
Yeah, I mean, good to see him actually playing some big games. I wonder who's playing on account. Titus, can you find that out for us?
That's why we traded for Titus, so we can make sure he looks into the other team's second tagging.
Yeah, abuse the system.
Yeah. So, all right. So that wraps it up for the Lines of the Week. We will be back next with the top 5 power rankings from each conference. Stick around for that. Welcome back. We are here with the top 5 power rankings from each conference. I will be taking care of the East. My man Garris will be taking care of the West. Interesting top 5 this week, Sean. Before we get into it, a spoiler here: Providence didn't make it in, and that's a team that everyone goes, well, they're the top team in the league, but they didn't have a good week. And I know it's hard. We actually have a team on there that's not even in a playoff spot right now in the power rankings, but it's all about how you did this week. We're ranking you based on your week performance, not your season performance.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, yep. All right, so I will take over here and start it off at number 5. We've got the Springfield Falcons with my boy Tino on the roster. They went 5-4 this week, with losses against the Chicago Wolves, the Iowa Wild, San Diego Gulls, and the Portland Pirates. Big wins over Wilkes-Barre Scranton, Providence, Lake Erie, Hershey, and Hartford. A couple of those teams are very good teams, so solid week there for Springfield. At number 4, we've got the Utica Comets. Utica getting wins over a big win over Rockford, 10-2. Other wins against St. John's. St. John's has been a very good team this season. Chicago Wolves, another great team. Toronto Marlies, Syracuse Crunch, and the Binghamton Senators. So a very nice week there for Utica. Next up at number 3, we've got the Portland Pirates. Portland put up wins against one of our previous teams, Springfield Falcons, Iowa Wild, Ontario Reign, very big win there, Lehigh Valley Phantoms, and a 6-3 win on Thursday against Rockford. Very nice week there for Portland. Next up at number 2, we've got Dangles' team, the Albany Devils. Big wins this week over St. John's Ice Caps, Toronto Marlies, Syracuse Crunch, Rochester Americans, 7-6. What a high-scoring game there. 3-2 over Utica, 2-0 over Binghamton. And then they had 3 losses against Chicago, Iowa, and Milwaukee. I'm pretty sure they wish they could play Dangles every game, because every game he's not in, there was quite a bit of goals scored. So he definitely deserves more recognition than we were giving him, because quite a few of these games here were 1-goal games or very low-scoring games. So a very solid week for Albany and Dangles. Hopefully they look to keep it up there with the commissioner on the squad. At number 1, we've got the team that's not in the playoffs, but they put themselves in a very good spot to get back into it. After a 7-2 week, the Hartford Wolfpack. 2 losses coming against Wilkes-Barre and Springfield, 2 very good teams, no shame in that. But their wins came against the Hershey Bears, San Jose Barracuda, Charlotte Checkers, Lehigh Valley Phantoms, San Antonio Rampage, Bridgeport Sound Tigers, and the Manitoba Moose to wrap up the week. That is your top 5 power rankings. Garris, what are your thoughts on those top 5?
I'm surprised Portland traded away the holy trinity of Doc, K-Slice, and Noob. I feel bad for Noob. He's in San Diego. Other than that, I mean, it's nice to see some of these teams that we predicted at the beginning of the season start to make some rise in the standings. So, I mean, it's always good to see our predictions pan out later on in the season, or at least for this week.
Yeah, right. This week definitely made a little more sense. And, really, it was tough to not put Providence in here, because a lot of teams had the same record as them. And I know as I'm reading through, I'm probably not mentioning that some of those games were overtime losses for some of those teams. So it wasn't 5-4, but I know that Providence had probably one of their worst weeks of the season. So Maybe they'll be back next week. Who knows? But until then, Garris, let's get the top 5 in the West.
All right, number 5, we have the Grand Rapids Griffins. Shocked to see that. They had some huge wins over Wilkes-Barre, Milwaukee, and Syracuse, and Chicago. So basically all their wins this week were over quality teams. They did lose to Charlotte, Lehigh Valley, Bridgeport, and Lake Erie. Most of those stung, because, there's teams you should beat. But losing to Lake Erie, whatever. And beating Rockford, that's like a free win, so whatever. Moving on, we have the Lake Erie Monsters, as I just mentioned. Big wins over Grand Rapids. Free win against Rockford, beating Chicago, and beating Bridgeport. They did lose Springfield, St. John's, Toronto, and Charlotte. Charlotte getting these big wins all of a sudden. Moving to number 3, we have Snoopy's San Antonio Rampage. They did beat us this week. I believe Bryce was in that game. They'd also beat Wilkes-Barre, Syracuse, San Diego's a free win, and they beat San Jose. They did lose to Hartford, Texas, Stockton, and Ontario. So, some of those games were probably must-wins for them, going in the playoffs. Number 2, we have Milwaukee Admirals. Big wins over Syracuse, Rochester, Providence, Manitoba, and Albany. Some key Charlotte beating Milwaukee again, losing to Grand Rapids, and lost to Iowa. All right, and our number 1 team, the only time Stockton will pretty much go over Milwaukee, just creating some drama from last season, is the Stockton Heat. 7-2 on the week, or 7-1-1. I don't know if it's an overtime loss or not. They did beat San Antonio, Ontario, Texas. They beat us in overtime, or double overtime. That was an exciting game. Portland and San Diego. They put the smackdown on San Diego 8-3. But they did lose to Binghamton and San Jose. Other than that, pretty much a really solid week by Stockton. Looking at it, their team didn't look as good as they did last season. But I feel like usually the Stockton mantra is go off to a slow start and then pick things up towards the end of the season.
Yeah. One thing that I was looking at before and during the show is that the West, I know we've spoken about it before earlier in the show, was that how close the West is. 3 points separates first and 8th place. What's really crazy is that if you go and look, a team like Texas Stars that are 15-11-1 with 31 points would see themselves in a divisional spot they would see themselves in a divisional spot in the East. So to sit there and look at it, Texas is only 5 points out of a playoff spot. They're either 5 points out of a playoff spot or they're not in a playoff spot at all, which is quite remarkable. I don't know what your thoughts on that is.
Yeah, they're 2 points ahead of us. Pretty much, we're 3 points behind Chicago, but making that joke of Milwaukee earlier, they're only probably 1 point behind Texas. So, earlier in the season they weren't doing that well, but it's starting to get tighter and tighter. It's going to be exciting, finish to the season. Yeah, I hope that we're able to make it in, but it's the playoffs. Anything will happen.
Mm-hmm. I know you're looking at the standings right now, so the show is a little quick. So let's go into the standings a little bit more. I know this is kind of a curveball I'm throwing at you. Give me one team that you feel that's not in a playoff spot right now that makes the best case to get into the playoffs with these remainder of the season.
I want to cheer for my boys Sports and Steelers, so I'm going to go Hartford. I think Coach Kraft is going to carry them to the promised land. I'm kidding. It's probably going to be Maxwell in F5, but I think Hartford has a good shot. They're only 2 or 3 points, 2 or 4 points out from a playoff spot. So 2 or 3 weeks ago. Yeah, 3 weeks ago. So.
Yeah, and especially being in the division they're in, they're going to more so maybe go for that wild card spot. It's pretty unfortunate that they're not in it after such a great week. And I guess I'll have to hop on the train with you there. That is a pretty good team that we were expecting to do well prior to the season start. So they're just making up for lost ground, I suppose, over the start of the season. Another team, too, is Lehigh Valley. I feel like that's. I have no idea who Slim is. No idea who the guy is, but I see him putting in some pretty good weeks. So if the rest of those lines can figure out, I think you could see Lehigh Valley possibly make that late push. But Hartford seems to be the safe pick for anyone that would be asked that question.
I got San Diego, 5-20. They still got time.
The scary thing is that no, they're pretty much done. Never mind. I'll disregard my bold prediction. But yeah, all right. So that wraps up the show. Garris, thank you for joining me. Sorry, folks, for the show being late. We had a bit of problems. Crosby's been a little bit busy, and so have the both of us. Been a little bit of a wild weekend. So we will be back hopefully next week. I'm thinking next week. Yeah, next week should be good. So I'd like to thank you all for watching. Garris, as always, thank you for joining me, and we will see you all next time.